You've walked past a vending machine this week, maybe a donation bin, maybe a metal cage of propane tanks outside a gas station, or a row of storage units along the highway. You saw all of it and thought nothing of it, because none of it looks like a business. But someone owns every single one of those things. Someone placed it there on purpose, calculated exactly how much money it would generate, and now collects payment from it, often without ever showing up in person. That's the idea behind everything in this video. 10 businesses that don't look like businesses. No storefront, no logo, sometimes no employee at all. Just an object, a location, and a steady stream of people who need something small enough that they'll pay for it without thinking twice. And one of these 10 businesses doesn't even involve a machine. And once you understand how it works, you'll start noticing it everywhere. Business 1, vending route. Let's start with the one you've probably paid money into yourself. That vending machine in the break room, the gym, the laundromat lobby. It's easy to assume it just belongs to the building. It doesn't. Someone bought that machine, filled it with inventory, and negotiated the right to put it in that exact spot, because location decides almost everything here. Every tap of a card is the difference between what that snack cost wholesale and what you just paid, landing in the pocket of an owner who probably isn't anywhere near the building right now. One machine barely moves the needle, but a route, dozens of machines spread across gyms, offices, and apartment complexes, starts to behave like a real distribution business, restocked on a loop with underperforming locations, quietly swapped out for better ones. Business 2, small unattended machines. And once you start noticing unattended machines, you realize vending is just the most obvious example. There's a whole category of smaller machines doing the same thing in the background. Ice machines outside a corner store, claw machines by the entrance of a laundromat, self-serve vacuum stations at the edge of a car wash. None of them need a cashier. None of them need a storefront. A single operator can run a scattered fleet of these out of a garage, servicing each one on rotation and collecting whatever cash or card payments came in since the last visit. Individually, they look like arcade novelties. Spread across enough locations, they function like a low-overhead retail network, except the store is just a machine bolted to a slab of concrete. Business 3, propane cage. Now, not every unattended machine sells something fun. Some of them sell something people genuinely can't do without, and you've probably driven past this one without a second glance. That metal cage by the gas station entrance isn't storage. It's a retail transaction that runs itself. A customer swaps an empty propane tank for a full one and pays right there. No register, no clerk, no conversation. The arrangement behind who owns the cage and how the money gets split varies by operator and location, so it's not one universal contract. But the mechanism is the same everywhere. A piece of equipment doing a job that used to require a person, generating a sale every time someone wants to grill dinner. Business 4, parking lot / billboard / farmland. And if a cage in a parking lot can quietly make money, it's worth asking what else in that same lot is doing the same thing. The answer is the lot itself. A parking lot near a stadium or downtown office tower can generate income just by existing, charging drivers for a few hours of space. A billboard next to the highway earns money by leasing its surface to an advertiser. Farmland can generate income by leasing the acreage to someone who actually works it, while the owner collects rent without touching a single crop. In every case, nobody's selling a product. They're selling access to space, to visibility, to usable ground. It sounds almost too simple, which is exactly why people underestimate it. The trade-off is real too. Property taxes, insurance, and capital tied up in land that doesn't move. Business 5, storage units. There's a similar rhythm one category over, except instead of renting out space, the business is renting out square footage you never see used. Rows of identical metal doors along a frontage road look like nothing. No lights on, no cars in the lot, no visible activity most hours of the day. But behind each door is a renter paying every single month, often for years, because clearing the unit out feels like more effort than just continuing to pay. The owner isn't managing customers walking through a door. They're managing occupancy and rent per square foot on a building that mostly runs itself once it's full. The catch is that, once it's full part, empty units still cost money, and filling a facility in a competitive market takes real effort. Business 6. Laundromat. That same recurring payment logic shows up somewhere far more familiar. A business almost everyone has used, and almost nobody has thought about owning. Nobody visits a laundromat because they love the experience. They go because they need clean clothes. And for renters without a washer at home, that need never really goes away. The machines do the actual work. The owner's job is picking a location with enough foot traffic and few enough competitors nearby, then keeping the equipment running and the utility bills covered while dozens of loads cycle through every day. It's not exciting, but it's dependable in a way flashier businesses often aren't. Business 7. Car wash. And a few blocks away, there's a business built on that exact same principle, except this time, the machines are washing cars instead of clothes. Pull in, insert a card, spray the car down yourself, and leave. No employee greets you, because none is needed. The equipment handles the entire customer interaction, which means one owner can technically oversee several locations without being physically present at any of them most of the day. The upfront cost of that equipment is steep though, and when something breaks, it's the owner's problem, often urgently, since a car wash with one dead bay isn't earning anything on that bay at all. Business 8. Rental property. Now here's where this shifts into something with real scale and a much longer commitment attached to it. Rental property is the most familiar business on this list, and also the most misunderstood. People picture a landlord doing nothing while checks show up. In practice, ownership means financing the property, screening tenants, covering repairs when something breaks at an inconvenient hour, and absorbing real risk tied to real debt. Mobile home parks add a twist worth knowing. Some owners lease just the land underneath the home rather than the home itself, collecting a smaller, steadier payment from a larger number of residents instead of one big payment from a single tenant. None of this is passive in the way people imagine. But for owners with the capital and patience to manage it properly, the recurring nature of rent is exactly what keeps this category attractive. Business 9. Donation bin. There's one more business on that same "you'll never see it the same way again" list, and this one plays on an assumption almost everyone makes without realizing it. You see a bin with a charity's name printed on the side, and you assume everything inside goes straight to people in need. Sometimes it genuinely does. Plenty of bins directly support the organizations named on them. But some donation bins are placed and operated by for-profit textile collection companies, which pay a fee for the right to have the bin there and then sell the collected clothing in bulk to second-hand markets, domestic and international. It isn't that donation bins are a scam. It's that the object sitting in a parking lot rarely tells you the full story of who's actually profiting from what gets dropped inside it. Business 10. Mobile paint correction. And that idea that ordinary objects can hide business relationships you'd never guess leads to the one that kicked off this whole video. The strongest "wait, that's an actual business" moment on the list. Picture a car dealership lot on a sunny afternoon. Rows of vehicles that all need to look flawless before a customer ever walks the lot. A small scratch, faded trim, swirl marks from a bad automatic wash. Someone drives out to that dealership or to a private seller's driveway with a kit and the skill to correct those imperfections on the spot, then leaves an hour later with payment for work that would have cost the seller far more in lost value if it went unfixed. It looks like a one-person side hustle. It isn't, not really. Behind it is a genuine business relationship with dealerships that need this work done constantly, at volume, because a car with visible flaws sells for less, or doesn't sell at all. This isn't someone waiting around for walk-ins. It's someone solving a repetitive, unglamorous problem for businesses that would rather pay for it than deal with it themselves, which is exactly why it can operate with no storefront, no lease, and no overhead, beyond a vehicle and a set of tools. 10 businesses, a vending route, a garage full of small unattended machines, a propane cage outside a gas station, land that earns money just by existing, a building full of storage units nobody sees used, a laundromat, a car wash, rental property, a donation bin, a mobile paint correction operation working out of a truck. None of them are exciting to talk about at a dinner party. None of them need hype, a launch, or a viral moment. What they share is something quieter. They solve a boring, recurring problem for people who need it solved again and again, whether or not anyone's paying attention. So the next time you walk past a vending machine, a row of storage doors, a donation bin, or a propane cage, you probably won't see an ordinary object anymore. You'll see someone's business. If this kind of hidden economy is interesting to you, there's more of it out there worth uncovering. Subscribe if you want to keep finding it.